Hello and welcome to another edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Theodore Henry, your guide for this enlightening journey. Stay with us as we share features that educate, inspire, and move you to action.
Dear adventure seeker, let Jamaica be your playground of exploration. If you're a thrill seeker, paragliding might just be your fit. Or if you're a nature lover, go for a hike and explore the beautiful flora and fauna. If you're someone looking to break a sweat, grab your bicycle and go for a ride. Discover the adventures that await you in Jamaica. Your perfect escape is just around the corner.
Thanks for staying with us. July is Fibroids Awareness Month, a time to raise awareness about a condition that impacts the health and well-being of many women across Jamaica. And so, we begin this edition with an important conversation about women's health. Uterine fibroids, though common, often go undiagnosed or overlooked. Let's hear about the symptoms and effects quietly endured by women living with this condition.
In a highly desirable world, hinging on some utopic idea, women would probably have been able to bridge the gender wage gap in workplaces.
Maybe our external appearance wouldn't be so important, and perhaps some medical conditions wouldn't have been so prejudiced against us.
But life cannot just be layers of what we conjure in our imaginations. It isn't always a working woman's Shangri-La, or our wives, mothers, sisters, or aunts' health ambitions.
In fact, there are certain health issues that affect women exclusively. Issues such as menopause, postpartum depression, uterine fibroids, and miscarriage. But understanding women's health concerns is the first step towards taking control of our own well-being.
Uterine fibroids are benign tumors of the uterus. That's in medical terms. In layman terms, they are masses that grow on the uterus or on the womb of a woman, and they can grow to various sizes. You can have one, you can have multiple. And the most important thing patients tend to ask is, are these cancerous? So benign means it's not cancerous.
Medical experts will tell you that the root causes may not be so clear, but there are certain factors that are most likely to account for this issue impacting women.
We believe a lot of women who have it actually do because of genetics. So if your mother or your sister or you have a strong family history of uterine fibroids, it's quite likely that you're at risk of having uterine fibroids as well. We also believe that they tend to pop up more so when your hormones are very active. So that's why it presents in those patients in their reproductive age. So once you get to your 20s, 30s, 40s, that's when you would expect fibroids to start to show up. It may be occurring in response to your diet. So if you have a poor diet, high in red meat, highly processed foods, very little fruits and vegetables, we believe that that impacts on the presence of fibroids and definitely the growth of fibroids.
Meet Raquel Bailey, whose unfortunate journey with uterine fibroids lasted for almost 9 years.
I was around 27, touching 28, and I went for my regular female checkup. When they did the ultrasound, they said everything was fine, but there was a point that he could not see beyond. So he decided to go do it vaginally. And that's when he found the fibroid on top of my uterus. I was saying to myself, it's hard. I'm not sure if I can get pregnant with it. I was worried about conception, of course, and I was worried about if it is cancerous or anything, because at that point I wasn't sure what fibroids was. I knew it ran in my family, but back then they didn't call it fibroids. My tummy began to grow, especially the top part, since it was resting on top. So my tummy began to protrude. And of course, when I had my period, the pain was severe. I had, to the point that I even had to lie on the floor to get a little bit of relief from it. Yeah, my clothes couldn't fit much because of the tummy hanging over.
The symptoms occur dependent on the size of the fibroids, the location of the fibroids, and also dependent on what else is happening to the patient otherwise, right? So common symptoms related to size are, if the fibroids are very big, then the woman looks as if she looks pregnant. So she notices that her tummy is growing, the waist of the clothes start to fit her a bit differently. She might start to have what we call compressive symptoms. Based on the location of the uterus, it can press on the bladder, which is in the front, and that's where your urine is. So you might find that you're complaining of more frequent urination. You're going to the bathroom to pee all the time, right? Another thing is that your bowel is at the back, behind your uterus, so you may get constipated. Again, because your nerves come from behind, from the spine backwards, then you can also have compressive symptoms on nerves around there, and some patients come with back pain. Because it is close to where the blood vessels go down into our legs and the nerves go down into our legs, some people complain about pain radiating all the way down to their legs, as well as swelling. If the fibroids are on the inner side of the uterus or within the muscle of the uterus, that's where your period comes from now. So those patients tend to complain about heavy bleeding. Bleeding that is lasting more than a week, more than the average period. They're soaking through pads in an hour, in 2 hours, messing up themselves, right? That causes a lot of social embarrassment. Not only that, but if you're bleeding that heavily, then you start to get symptoms of anemia. So you start to feel weak, dizzy, you might actually faint. Another symptom that patients can present with is pain. So if the fibroids grow to a certain size, then they start to outgrow the blood supply that comes from outer to inner. And sometimes they can, what we call, degenerate, and that causes patients to have a lot of pain.
I got married, and my husband and I spoke, and I said to him, all right, I don't want to do the surgery, have any surgical procedure done on me, just in case that they found more and they had to take out the entire thing. So I wanted to try and conceive before doing the myomectomy. Then I got pregnant in the February of 2021. That's when the fibroids became aggressive. It grew and it grew and it grew. I looked so much like I was full-term pregnancy when I was only 4 months pregnant. So it was very aggressive. I was really sick in the first part of the pregnancy, so much so that I was labeled a high-risk patient. After having my baby, I went to the doctor to do my regular checkup, and Dr. Madam was saying to us when we decided to take out the fibroids. So I told her we were waiting on her. She said, no man, the decision is yours. So I said to her, all right, maybe we can do it now. I was there touching my tummy, because when I went in, it was huge, huge. It was like a full baby. It was the size, the fibroid was the size of a basketball. It was, yeah, and there were 3 others, so it was 4 fibroids. And she took it out, and when she took it out, she said everything went well, and my uterus, it's healthy. That's the word she used. The best part of my journey having fibroids is hearing that there are treatment options available.
So fibroids can be treated in a number of different ways, but really and truly, treatment should be aimed at the patient's symptoms as well as what their future fertility desires are. Now, if you are having bleeding problems and the size of the fibroid is not significant, then we can entertain giving you medical management to try and maintain the bleeding to a level that is acceptable. So sometimes that involves using tablets. There are some NSAIDs that we use for that. There are hormonal tablets that we can use. There's also the hormonal injection that we can use to help to reduce the amount of bleeding that you are having. If it is that you are having a problem with pain and size, then that's where surgery comes in. A lot of the patients ask, why doc, I don't really want to do surgery. I'm not ready to do surgery. And they ask if there's anything that can be used to shrink the fibroids. There are medications out there that have been used to shrink fibroids, but they don't maintain the fibroid at that size for the rest of your life. And they can only be used for a short period. If they are not so large but they are plentiful and they're causing you significant symptoms like your blood count is really low you're frequently missing work, it really interrupts with your daily living, then we would recommend doing surgery. And surgery involves either removing the fibroids only, or we can remove the uterus in total. Now that decision is a big decision. If you have finished having your children, you don't want to have any more kids, then clearly removing your uterus is okay.
What I learned coming out of this entire experience is that I should not be afraid of my doctor, all right, or doctors in general. The gynecologists, they are there to help you. Visit them, have an annual or your regular routine checkup. It is to ensure that you have a healthy life.
Living in a systematic adjudication area, it's time to secure what's yours. The National Land Agency is distributing titles under its systematic land registration program. Persons in St. Elizabeth and Manchester, visit the Junction Guest House in St. Elizabeth to collect your title. In St. Catherine, we're coming to you house to house. To collect your title, bring your government-issued photo ID. If someone is collecting on your behalf, they should bring a JP certified letter and their government-issued photo ID. For more information, call 876-750-5263 or visit nla.gov.jm. One agency, one goal, committed to serve you better.
The 49th meeting of the Heads of Government of CARICOM is set to take place from July 6 to 8. And with Jamaica taking over chairmanship of the organization, here's what to expect.
July 1, 2025 marks the start of Jamaica's 6-month chairmanship of the Caribbean Community CARICOM, with Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Andrew Holness succeeding the Honorable Mia Mottley, Prime Minister of Barbados. Jamaica's most recent chairmanship of CARICOM took place in July 2010 and July 2018, when the country hosted the 31st and 39th regular meetings of the Conference of Heads of Government. As it steers the leadership rudder for the 6 months ending December 31, 2025, we are examining the role of CARICOM's chair and priorities for deliberation during this period.
Essentially, the chair for the 6 months of the chairmanship becomes the voice and to some extent the face of CARICOM. So when statements are issued, they'll be issued by him after collaboration, and when there is attendance at international meetings, he will of course represent CARICOM at those meetings. We have several major meetings that are coming up in the course of the chairmanship. There's the AU CARICOM Summit, which is to be held in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and there is the 80th anniversary of the United Nations, that's in September. There is also the COP30, which is being held in Brazil. So there'll always be work to be done to collaborate and put together CARICOM positions in which you will be asked to speak on behalf of CARICOM. Security will be a big issue for us. We have been calling for, and Prime Minister has placed on the table from his last speech at the UN, and he has done it at National Security Council and in other fora, for increased global collaboration on the matter of transnational organized crime. He has called for it to be given the resources and the level of coordination that was given by the world to the war on drugs. That essentially the flow of guns and the interconnectedness of the networks of gangs, that those are actually the new threat. We'll also be looking at how to ensure that the region is in the best state possible to deal with the very dynamic and sometimes uncertain global environment in terms of trade. You might recall that Prime Minister is the chair of the Prime Ministerial Subcommittee on External Trade Negotiations. So work has been taking place behind the scenes in terms of understanding where we are as member states and then as a region in terms of what may change around us in respect of tariffs and other matters.
Other areas of emphasis will be youth development, cybersecurity, and innovative solutions that can streamline governance, improve healthcare, and expand educational opportunities. As the new CARICOM chair, Jamaica will host the 49th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government this year from July 6 to 8 in Montego Bay. The island will be focused on some key agenda items for this conference. Security is a major priority, and Jamaica will be using the opportunity to highlight the technological advancements and other developments driving the work of the Jamaica Constabulary Force and the Jamaica Defence Force.
And to ensure that heads can look at modeling of what's happening here and what's working, to take back home with them whatever they feel is useful for them. So that's going to run in parallel with the Conference of Heads.
Other key areas of focus are external trade negotiations, climate change and the climate finance agenda, transportation, telecommunications, digitalization of the tourism industry, and the CARICOM industrial policy.
The plenary will take place over the 7th and the 8th, and there will be a press conference at the end on the 8th, at which the outcome document and the main decisions of the meeting will be shared. The focus is really on making sure that we have the best platform set for Jamaica to be able to play her role in having the region be well placed to navigate these uncertain times, and to, of course, ensure that we make some progress in CSME and that we really take a strategic and creative focus on how we deal with transnational crime and regional security. So very much looking forward to having these areas deliver some results over the period of time.
The past has shaped us, but the future, it's powered by connection. For 20 years, the Universal Service Fund has been bridging the digital divide, with over 400 public Wi-Fi hotspots lighting up verandas, homes, and hopes. From classrooms to communities, USF powers access to opportunity, helping youth dream bigger, learn smarter, earn online, and helping families stay close even from far away. One mission, 2 decades, thousands of lives transformed. Connected at 20, committed for a lifetime. The Universal Service Fund, connecting you to more.
Emergencies demand effective coordination and reliable communication. For our final feature, we explore how Jamaica is upgrading its disaster response capabilities through a dedicated radio communication system. Jamaica is no stranger to the powerful forces of nature. From hurricanes and floods to landslides, these natural disasters remind us of the importance of readiness.
So we have mainstreamed in our governance disaster preparedness and readiness as a means of building resilience against the climate change issues that affect small island developing states like Jamaica.
In terms of the National Disaster Risk Management Framework, it's actually one of the best, if not the best in the Americas.
We are in the best place we have ever been in our history in terms of our state of readiness.
When disaster strikes, all eyes turn to the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM. In a crisis, effective and reliable communication is of utmost importance. That's why the government, through ODPEM, has forged a partnership with the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, to strengthen the island's emergency communication system. The ODPEM-JICA collaboration aims to improve the emergency communication infrastructure in Jamaica by installing wireless communication systems and relevant equipment, thereby contributing to swift and robust communication between first responders and government offices to respond efficiently to emergencies or disaster.
Decom management is Spanish Town Fire Station. This is the radio check. How do you read? Over.
We are putting in place the necessary infrastructure for us to respond to these disasters. We would have already put in place all the necessary radios in their various locations. The Jamaica Fire Brigade, the police, every arm of government is equipped to communicate before and after. And this is a game changer for the people of Jamaica.
You don't want a system where you are relying on cell phones for communication. We saw what happened in Beryl, where a lot of the cell towers went, and there was communication blackout in some areas across the country. What you want to ensure is that there are redundancy to your communication, and our radio network gives us that kind of redundancy. In terms of the design, it is robust enough that allows us that if one of the nodes go down, we're still able to communicate across the country, and it gives us roughly probably 98% coverage across the island.
Changing from an analog to a digital system is not an easy feat. However, with the development of the Project Implementing Unit, the ODPEM is sure the DCOMs and Early Warning System EWANs will be effective in strengthening Jamaica's responsiveness. Coupled with the island's Early Warning System EWANs, the DCOMs are expected to effectively bolster Jamaica's responsiveness to natural disasters.
The objective of the project for the improvement of emergency communication system in Jamaica is to enhance Jamaica's public safety and our national emergency communication system. This national emergency communication system is critical for the coordination of emergency and incident response among our various government entities or key government responders. It will allow for emergency agencies to communicate via one common platform. We would have installed radio equipment to include mobile radios, base station radios, and handheld radios at a number of government entities to include the Jamaica Fire Brigade, the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the Ministry of Health, the local authorities, and a number of other entities island-wide. We would have installed early warning systems under the project across 2 parishes in 3 communities, namely Old Harbour Bay in St. Catherine and along the Bog Walk to Angels Corridor in St. Catherine, and also in Port Maria, St. Mary. This, with the installation of this early warning system, it will create that alertness that it is a multi-hazard system. So it will be able to alert residents, commuters, persons who utilize these areas, these urban centers, for example, Port Maria, about the pending hazards or threats that these communities will face.
This site is owned by Aerotel. They manage the telecommunication systems for Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority. Part of the benefit of co-locating at this site is that this site is designed for aeronautical purposes. So they have a very high standard especially where power is concerned, and also for protection against lightning. And also provides quite a bit of redundancy just by virtue of its location. However, our system is designed to run entirely on a battery system, and pretty much we have our systems charged by their power. Should a case happen where we lose power, whether from GPS or their power system, our battery system will allow us to have service for up to 5 days. This site here in Coopers Hill provides coverage for the entire corporate area. So all of the radios in this area will be connected to this repeater site here at Coopers Hill, and that's another advantage that we have at this location.
The DCOM system will also help several stakeholders within the National Disaster Risk Management structure to mobilize and mitigate crises.
During the implementation phase of the project of the DCOM system, firefighters were basically embedded with a team of engineers that came down from Japan to install the equipment across the island. DCOM system that is now at ADPEM is manned by firefighters. So that's the rock and the knock, as is referred to. It's currently manned by firefighters, and these firefighters will remain at ADPEM manning the system for as long as it's necessary. What we have done with this system is to make it a part of our daily communications. Once we're out in the field conducting, whether it's rescue or conducting firefighting operations, then the team members can communicate back to Central in terms of giving updates, live updates as to what is happening. If there is need for additional resources, that can be communicated in a reliable way, unlike what we have now.
We're able to introduce it as part of the communication platform during burial, and we were able to see some results. So it's a good thing.
The DCOM system is here to build resilience, plan for natural disasters, activate response efforts, and mitigate the impacts of disasters while maintaining an active and reliable communication channel.
Your devices are important, and so is charging them safely.
Never charge your phones or your laptop in bed, or leave them charging on your sofa or on any material that is flammable. That is a risk that is too great for you to take on.
Instead, charge your devices on a hard surface and always unplug them once fully charged.
As we wrap up today's edition of Jamaica Magazine, we hope you found these features informative and engaging. Let's stay connected through our website, jis.gov.jm, and on social media. On behalf of the production team, I'm Theodore Henry. Have a great weekend.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.